Hey everyone, it's Mark Ferguson with Investor More, and I've had a couple of requests for this video, and that is how we decide what to repair, what not to repair on a house flip. And this can be used for rental properties, this can also be used for your personal house, but I've had a few people ask me for this. So we just had my Complete Blueprint call, which is a coaching program I do, and a couple of people asked, hey, I really want to know how you decide why you do what you do. I'm like, oh yeah, I made a video like that just recently. Here you go. And I looked and I couldn't find it. And I finally realized I made a short, not a full video. So here's the full video. I also want to give a shout out to Jacob in my group who sent me, not money, as you can see right there, but some freeze-dried Skittles and dry erase markers, because a lot of times when I'm doing my coaching and courses, my markers are dead. But I got some new ones, so thank you for that. And that was from my Money Mastery course, which kind of teaches people how to manage money and handle money, which is very important right now. But this is a house flip that we are working on. It's almost done. And the video you're looking at right now is what it looked like when I first bought it. So I'm going to tell you my thought process, what I was thinking when I bought it, how I decide what to fix, what to repair, and then we'll show you what we ended up doing. It's almost done now. It's not quite done now, but we'll show you an updated video on what is done and what it looks like now. So first off, when we're flipping houses, we have a different mindset than, it was so dirty by the way, what a regular homeowner might have, and even what a landlord might have who's renting houses out. It's very different. So I like to think of flipping houses as very similar to building houses, and flippers can actually get a lot of information from builders, new construction. I actually did a video recently on new construction in our area and showed what they're doing, what they're spending money on, how they're fixing up houses, because flippers can get a lot of knowledge from builders who spend tons of money researching, analyzing, figuring out where to spend money and where not to spend it. So one of the biggest mistakes house flippers often make is they over-improve a property. They make it way too nice, spend way too much money, and they don't end up getting the return back on that investment. And one of the biggest holdbacks on getting a return on investment in houses is your neighborhood, how expensive the neighborhood is, appraisals. You know, this house is in, what would probably be considered a starter home area in Greeley, Colorado. There's a few houses over 400,000, but most of the properties are selling from like 380 to 400,000. Some of the bigger ones are going a little over 400,000. Well, if you came in, redid all the cabinets, put in a custom $30,000 kitchen, let's say you just go crazy and vault the ceilings, put in granite, make the bathroom super fancy, make a fancy master bathroom, and you spend $80,000 on this house, and you think, man, this house is so much better than every other house in the neighborhood. We're going to get like $450 for it. Well, it might be that much better from a pure, value basis on what you put into it. But an appraiser is going to look at the comps and say nothing else is sold over $420. I can't value it as high as $450. And they might come in and value it at $420, $425. And now all that extra money you've put into it is just a waste. So you have to be very careful about over-improving properties for the neighborhood. And we'll show you what we did with this kitchen and how we saved money there. This is actually, one of my favorite types of houses to flip, because it was so dirty, just dog hair everywhere, but it wasn't destroyed. And it had already had some of the expensive items done, like windows were already put in. The roof was newer. The HVAC was newer. And those are very expensive items. And when you're repairing houses and fixing them up, and I say this a lot, people are talking about curb appeal is the most important thing. I disagree, right? When you're flipping a house, when you're selling it, the most important thing is that it qualifies for FHA or conventional financing for an owner-occupant buyer. The most important thing. You can have a super fancy, nice house, and if it's got a bad roof or broken windows and it won't qualify for FHA, you're probably going to lose 15 to 20% of the value right there. So the number one thing you can do is make sure it qualifies for FHA. And even if it's not an FHA buyer, most conventional loans, most owner-occupant loans are going to use the same criteria to decide if they will give owner-occupants a loan. So owner-occupants who are going to be your most likely buyer when flipping houses, can get low money down loans, but the houses have to be in livable condition for the most part. So that means no broken windows, the roof is in good shape, the HVAC works and is not dangerous, it's in good shape, the plumbing works, the electrical system works, there's no like major foundation cracks, things like that, and there's no peeling paint anywhere, there's no lead-based paint. It doesn't have to be, there can be lead-based paint, it just can't be peeling. And so there's some very basic guidelines you want to take care of first. And we always do that on all of our houses. And I like to say we try to make our houses safe first off. So we have an HVAC company come out, check out everything, make sure it's in good shape. If the furnace is bad, we replace it, get it repaired, whatever needs to be done. If the roof looks questionable at all, we have our roofer come out, check it out, look at that. You know, if there's broken windows, the seals are broken in the windows, we'll probably replace the windows. If they're super old and don't work right, we'll probably replace the windows. But when you're doing that too, remember, you don't have to go to Anderson's and spend $30,000 on windows. You can go to Home Depot, get Geldwin, very, not cheap, but low-end windows, and they'll work almost as good as those fancy, expensive windows. In fact, they've done studies, and there's a huge difference between single pane, old windows, and vinyl windows, no matter if they're Anderson or Geldwin, and there's very little difference between the Geldwins, the lower end windows, and the high end windows. And most buyers will not care. They're not going to care if you have Anderson windows or if you have Geldwin. They just want to see, hey, they're newer vinyl windows. That's not something I'm going to have to spend money on. That's cool. So these are all the things we look at and we've learned over the years. And if you're deciding to buy a flip, right, you should be looking at these things before you purchase it, before you buy it, figuring out what needs to be done, how much these things are going to cost, and what all you're going to remodel or not remodel. Now on this one, doors was something else we looked at. You can see the closet doors are okay. The bedroom doors are the flat, basic, very boring, old school, 70s, 80s doors. And those can be a little bit pricey, but again, you don't have to go crazy getting custom doors. You can get nice, 6-panel or the colonial doors. I think they call them from Home Depot, fairly cheap. And that's what we go with too. And that can make a huge difference on how the house feels and looks having those doors. But again, we're not spending $1,000 per door. That just doesn't make sense. We might be spending a couple $100, $300 per door, which is more than we want to because everything's gotten more expensive now. But that makes a big enough feel and difference in the house is probably worthwhile. Now, if we have electrical, they hit a lot of cats. We have electrical concerns, things like that. We'll bring in an electrician, have them inspect it, see what's going on, see what needs to be done there, make sure that's safe. The same for plumbing. Have our plumber come through, make sure everything's good and is right on that front too. And we've worked very hard over the years to build relationships with plumbers, electricians, HVAC, roofers, so we can get affordable prices, but people who are still, going to do a good job as well. If you just go out on your own, look for the first person you find, there's a good chance you're going to be twice as much, maybe even 3 times as much as some other people who might be just as good. So it's very important to shop around and find these things. Now, something else, that you can look at when you're looking at a house like this, we had 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom upstairs, no bedrooms, 1 bathroom downstairs. We'll show you the bathroom, which was crazy. And we can look at comps, right? We can decide, hey, is it worth it to add a bedroom downstairs based on what other properties are selling for in the neighborhood? Based on my market knowledge of the neighborhood, is it worth it to have another room down here? And we can decide, hey, do we want to finish this room? We'll talk about what we did here in a second. We can look at this fireplace and be like, oof, it's kind of ugly down here, but the carpet's kind of ugly, everything's kind of ugly. Is it worth it taking out? Is it worth it to leave it? Is it worth it to paint it? Those are things we figure out. And a lot of it, you can't just have a blanket rule of this is what happens on every single house every single time, because you kind of have to look at the neighborhood. Look at what houses are selling for that you're trying to, meet their price or maybe exceed a little bit. How nice are they? What have they done? A lot of times you'd be surprised if you walk through comps and look at houses for sale or houses that are listed, and you might think, wow, these really aren't that updated. I don't want to say nice. They might be really well maintained, really clean, but they could have been lived in for 15, 20 years and have quite a few items that could be updated, but they're still selling for close to what you think your property will sell for, and that can give you an idea of, hey, maybe we don't have to go crazy on this remodel. Yes, you want to make sure your water heater's, not 15, 20 years old. Your furnace is in decent shape, things like that, like I've said before. But some of the other stuff, you don't have to put in a super fancy kitchen. You don't have to put in a super fancy bathroom. You don't have to put in super high-end flooring or super high-end light fixtures. Those things usually will not give you a return on investment, meaning they'll cost you more to put in than they'll add to the value of the home. So on this particular one, we looked at this area here. Hey, should we put a bedroom down here? Should we close off this wall, add a door there? Or in that other space that's unfinished, should we, finish that one off? Then we think, well, do we need to put an egress window in? Does it need to be a bedroom? Can we make it an office? There's lots of different things to look at. Here's that bathroom I sent out, which is crazy. This is one that needs to be redone because anybody looking at this bathroom is going to be like, oh my God, this is disgusting and weird. What's going on? And we can look at it and say, yes, we definitely need to fix the toilet. There's room for a shower. Does it make sense to put a shower in? Probably, if we're being affordable about it. Maybe we're doing a shower surround, something basic and easy. We're not doing custom tile. We're not doing custom ledges. We're not going crazy with it because it's a basement bathroom. It doesn't need it. What home buyers are going to look at is, hey, does it have a bathroom in the basement? Does it have a shower? If I've got kids or family or people who want to stay down there or living down there, or if we're down there. That's their main concern. And especially on starter homes, people's first house, they don't have to have something that is crazy, super fancy. And they don't want to pay for that crazy, super fancy either. So it's not like you're doing a disservice or cheaping out on things. If you can be more affordable on your remodel, that means you can be more affordable on the price you're charging people, and that can actually help people out. And if they do want to make something super fancy, they want to make something crazy, that could be something they do on their own. The same goes for landscaping, right? People talk about how you have to do so much with the landscaping and add shrubberies and bushes and paths and walkways. It's like, no, we don't. If the people who buy this house want to do all that and make their own custom walkways and paths and different things, they can do it. What we can do is clean up the yard, do a basic, make sure the grass is mowed, the leaves are picked up, the trash is gone. Maybe we trim some trees or look at those that need some work. But we're not, I was waving to the neighbor right there, we're not going crazy doing a lot of stuff. And some people will criticize me constantly because they'll see houses that we flip and the front yards will look horrible. Now, we try to clean them up, like I said. Sometimes we'll add mulch, but we're not going to put in a $10,000 sprinkler system and lay sod and bushes and different stuff for the yard because it's not going to bring us back that value. People, I say this all the time, we sell houses that have ugly yards all the time, and they still sell, and they sell for close to as much as other houses that have amazing yards. People think they can do landscaping. I think I can do landscaping. In fact, I know I can do landscaping. I've done plenty of it in my life. When I first started out in real estate, I did a lot of landscaping for my parents on flips and painting and doing different stuff and doing manual labor on houses. Landscaping is not hard. It takes work, it takes time, but you can do it. I've done it on my personal houses too. And when a buyer is looking at a house and they see the yard isn't amazing, a lot of them think, hey, it's the yard. It's not that hard. I can do it. It's not rocket science. Now, if they see a fireplace in there and they hate it, it's not like they can say, oh, this is easy. I'll just take this fireplace out. No. That takes some skill. It brings some risk. There's a lot of things that come into it. If they say, hey, I can take this kitchen out and remodel it. Oh, maybe, but that can take a lot of work, time, money, and a big learning curve if you've never done it before. So there's lots of important things to look at there. Now, this is the house after we fixed it up, and we'll show you what we did to it. Now, something we noticed when we looked at this house after it was mostly done is those window wells are so ugly. So even after you've done a remodel, figured out everything you want to do, you can always change your mind, think of new things, find new things that need to be done. That was something we kind of missed or saw and forgot about, and we called our contractor, said, hey, can we fix these, make them look better? I said, yeah, we'll do that. So there are minor, easy things you can do on curb appeal out front, right? I was checking the side yard. I'm like, oh, that fence actually is pretty good. The roof looks pretty good. The paint looks good. The garage door looks good. The front looks pretty good on this house. We don't need to go crazy. You could say, oh my God, we need bushes, we need shrubberies, we need a path, we need a different sidewalk. You don't. Maybe the new owners want that stuff. They can put those in. You want it to be kind of a basic, neutral slate for whoever wants to move in. And that's kind of how you think about the inside too. This is what it looks like after we're done. And I was talking with Nikki, my project manager, who decides a lot of the things as well, and asking her, what's most important? She's like, you kind of want a really basic neutral shell, and the new homeowners can make it custom how they want, right? All the paint's the same. The flooring's pretty much the same. Maybe we do some different things in the bedrooms. We'll talk about that. But you don't have to go crazy making different colored walls that some people might like, others don't. Making crazy kitchens, things like that. If somebody wants a different colored wall, they can paint it. Not a big deal. And that's something that homeowners will think themselves too. Oh yeah, we can paint those. Little things make a big difference too, like outlets, right? If you have almond colored or different colored outlets and outlet covers, changing those can make a big difference. Fixtures, we almost always change the light fixtures because that's fairly affordable. Can make a huge difference in a house. You can see we painted these cabinets. We did not put in brand new cabinets, brand new kitchen, brand new counters. Probably saved us $7,000 doing that, maybe more. We still might move that fridge and switch it out with a different fridge that's smaller that fits better because this is kind of a tight space with how it's designed. It had a stainless steel dishwasher, had a stainless steel microwave, but it had a white stove. We want the appliances to be matching. We're going to put a different stove in there. We may or may not still put a different dishwasher in because it's pretty dirty and nasty. So we're deciding on that. We put in different countertops. We didn't splurge on granite. We didn't splurge on quartz. We put in laminate from Home Depot. People rarely care, especially in a starter home like this. Maybe in a high-end home you have to have it. You don't have to have it on this type of home. The weird thing I've talked about before, the garage doors on the outside, not the inside, and some people before said, oh, you should add an addition and finish off that area so there's a mudroom back there behind the dining room and deck. I'm like, that's a great job for the new buyer. That's not something we need to do. That sink might look expensive and fancy. We got that on clearance from Home Depot. We got a bunch of nice sinks from them, so that's why it's more of a high-end sink. If we're buying that from scratch, we wouldn't have spent that much money on that sink. Additions rarely pay off. Rarely pay off unless you're in very specific, expensive areas where you can pop the top or something like that. But in starter homes, suburban areas, it's very rare that an addition will pay off. You can see, pretty basic. We did replace the doors, paint. We will put carpet in the bedrooms. This is a specific kind of geographical thing that I've talked about too. If you're in Florida or if you're in California, carpet in the bedrooms might be horrible, might be the worst thing ever. You get sand, dirt, whatever. We're in Colorado where it can get cold. Carpet in the bedrooms is very common. You see it all the time. And if you want to see what really pays off and what people have seen that works, like I said, go see new houses and see what they're doing. And you'll see in Colorado, most new houses have this kind of vinyl flooring in the main living areas, and they've got carpet in the bedrooms. It's cheap. People don't mind it. Keeps their feet warmer, and there's nothing wrong with it. Here's the bathroom. We changed out the vanity, the mirrors. That was easy to do. And again, we're not out there spending $1,000 on a vanity. We're going to Home Depot. A lot of times we'll get a bunch of them on clearance, and I think that's where we got these and why it's not quite the best color in the world, but again, not the end of the world. The tub needed to be replaced. It was pretty rough. There was some rotting stuff behind the tile. Normally, we'd go with a surround. We'd put a surround in, save money. The big issue there's a window in the wall. So, I guess you could take the window out, but this property had vinyl siding. That makes it really difficult. I hate vinyl siding. But so we did tile. Again, affordable tile, something cheap, nothing crazy, and it saves us money everywhere we can go. Same thing in this bedroom, nothing fancy, nothing crazy. Paint, clean up. We'll have carpet installed here pretty soon. Doors are newer. Like I said, that's one thing you can do that really modernizes a house, makes it feel so much better. Our doors, and usually it makes sense just to get the doors with the full casing, depending on your contractors who's installing them, and it's easier to install those than to cut new doors and drill holes and do all of that. Another bedroom, again, very basic, very easy stuff. We're not going crazy. There's a common theme, as you can see, the crazier you get, usually the less money you make. And if this is a rental property, we talked about the difference between rentals and flips. Maybe we didn't have to redo the tile in that bath. Maybe we could have left it. We probably still would have painted the kitchen and done the countertops. Probably would have done a new stove. Probably would have done flooring, fixtures, things like that. But this was an easier flip. A lot of times in rentals, you don't have to do quite as much as you would with a flip. But this one would probably be pretty similar to what you would do with a rental property. Maybe in the basement, as we'll show you here as we go down here, we would have done some different things, not spend as much money, like the fireplace that we painted. Maybe we just left the fireplace. Or honestly, if it's a rental, probably the best case scenario is to take the fireplace out. That's probably more expensive than painting it, but it can reduce some liability, some problems there. But like I said, down here, there was carpet, walls, the fireplace. We didn't go crazy. We didn't do anything too insane. We painted, cleaned things up. My guys did paint the fireplace tools in the floor, as you can see there. There'll be carpet down here too. And there's a fireplace. They painted it white with some black accents. Looks so much better than it did before. And we did finish off this room too. An egress window probably is costing you $4,000 to $6,000 right now to put one in. The price keeps going up and up and up. So we made an office that happens to have a closet. Adding living space, added room for people, and it makes it feel much bigger, much nicer down here. And again, we can't do everything, can't go crazy, or else we don't make money. If we don't make money, why are we flipping houses? Why are we fixing them up? So you could end up with a lot of dilapidated, abandoned houses just sitting there, or you can go kind of the builder grade route, follow their lead, and do what they would do in these situations. And you can look at that from the curb appeal standpoint too. Builders don't even have backyards. They won't even spend the money on it. Sometimes they don't even include AC. Sometimes they don't even include any appliances at all. They have some very, very basic packages because they know that appeals to people, and people are more concerned with how much they're spending and their price point than they are with houses being super duper fancy. We can see we didn't finish this into a bedroom, kept it very basic. Is it a weird room? Kinda. Is it a deal breaker for people? No, it won't be at all. And something else we thought about too, where we were going to spend money. You can see we did clean up the yard a little bit. I think we might clean it up a little bit more. There's a friendly squirrel out there playing. I think last time I was here, there's a friendly cat out there playing. But, we're not going crazy out there. We're not building a deck off the master bedroom and putting a door in or anything like that. You won't get your money back there. And something else we thought about too is this wall. Like, oh my God, it'd be so nice if you took this wall out, you had a bigger room, it'd really open it up. But there's a cold air return in that wall. It might have been supporting, we couldn't tell for sure. If it was, you have to put a beam in and pillars, and you've got electrical and all kinds of stuff going on there. It might cost you a few $1,000s to take out this wall just to make it feel bigger. You don't need it, right? You don't have to do it. Here's the bathroom. Obviously, we did spend some money in here, taking out the throne, which was solid concrete, by the way. It was crazy. So our plumber still has to come by, finish off his work there. But we put in a basic shower surround. It's big. It's nice. Much cheaper than tile. And I've said this before a number of times. I will make videos talking about our choices in tile versus surrounds. So many people say, I like surrounds so much better than tile because it's so much easier to clean, so much less hassle. So you're not always doing the worst thing. Sometimes people like the cheaper options too. It does have a fancy walkout laundry room window, which is nice. Not many of those have those. See, we're not doing anything fancy down here. We're not building a bunch of shelves or anything crazy. Like I said, HVAC is important. That was already done on this house. That was fantastic. And our choices here are making the home kind of a blank slate, nice, or going crazy. And going crazy rarely pays off unless you're just in super expensive specific markets. Now, this is another house that we bought recently, which was a flip that needed way more work, and we're willing to spend way more money on this because it has a way more room. I don't think I said all that right, but the budget can be bigger because we have a lot bigger spread. This flip, I think we paid $216 for. It might be worth $380 when we're done. The other flip we're just showing, I think I paid $270 for. It might be worth $380 when we're done. There's not a huge room for error there when you're talking about financing costs, selling costs, commissions, all of that stuff. And so you want to be cognizant of how much you're spending. And just because you have a higher spread doesn't mean you have to spend more money either. Sometimes you might have a higher spread and you don't need to spend more money. It's all based on the house, the neighborhoods, the comps, like I said. Now, this house we're willing to spend more money on because the windows were incredibly old. Had wood paneling inside. The kitchen was just absolutely horrible. You couldn't really save it. The bathrooms were pretty much absolutely horrible. There's a lot of stuff going on here this other house did not have. And like I said, when you're buying the properties, looking at them, you need to consider all of that too, and what your budget's going to be, how much more it's going to cost to fix these houses. And that will help you guide what you do and what you don't do. But even on this house where we have so much more that we're doing, it's not like we're saying, oh, just throw all of our numbers out the window, we'll just make it as nice as we can. No, we still want to be cognizant of our budget. If we put a new kitchen in, we're going to be getting Home Depot cabinets, probably laminate counters, affordable appliances. Not that there is such a thing right now, but more affordable than others. The bathrooms, we're going to try and do bath surrounds, things like that too. For windows, we're getting, Geldwin, Home Depot windows. We're not spending a ton of money on that. We are, try to refinish the hardwood floors if we can. That's something to talk about with flooring. We never put hardwood in if it's not there already. It's so expensive. It's so much more than the vinyl, and people don't mind as much having vinyl versus real hardwood. Real hardwood is nice. I love real hardwood too, but it's not going to stop someone from buying a house. It's kind of a bonus. These windows were super old, and those needed to be done. The paneling, we thought about, do we have to take the paneling out or not? We thought about keeping it, but what we did is we took out part of it, and we realized the walls behind it were in decent shape. And we thought, okay, we can take the paneling off, we can save the walls, we'll be okay. If we would have taken the paneling off and the plaster was crumbling and destroyed and we had to re-sheetrock the whole house, we might not have done it. Maybe we would have, maybe we wouldn't have, but those are the things you have to think about. This bathroom, pretty old, pretty rough, and there was plumbing and some electrical stuff going on too, and that's what guides our decision on pretty rough, like I said, what we do and what we don't do on these houses. So each house is individual. Each house we decide what to do and not what to do, and there's no real easy answer for every project. This one we're still working on. It'll take us longer, and that's something to consider too. The longer the rehab takes, the more intense the rehab takes, the more it's going to cost you, not just in repairs, but in financing costs, carrying costs, utilities, insurance, property taxes. All of that will increase your costs significantly. So the bigger projects not only have to have more room for the repairs you're doing, but more room for all the time and extra expenses it will take from that standpoint as well. And I had to make some decisions in the basement here too, because it had a couple of rooms. One could be a bedroom, another could be a bedroom, a family room. It could have a kitchen, it could be a second unit. There's lots of things to decide there. Well, the bathroom is off one bedroom. There's no other access to it. And it's like, well, that's not ideal. But to make that bathroom accessible to the whole basement, you'd have to redo the whole floor plan, cost you a ton of money. It's just not worth doing. It's just one of those things. People are going to have to go through a bedroom to get to the bathroom for the basement. We could make it a completely separate unit with a full kitchen and all that. We might put in some counters, maybe a sink, and if someone wants to make it fancier, they can, but we're not going to go crazy doing it. So lots of different things like that we look at. This garage, it needs some work. It needs some structural work. We definitely want to save it. It's worth money. It's valuable. It's important for you to know how valuable these things are in your market. This is probably worth, $30,000 in value if it's, the garage is here and has this much room. But we've got to spend some money fixing it because they've done some horrible things in the structure. But if the garage isn't worth anything, maybe it's worth it to tear it down. I don't know. Those are things you have to look at. It's worth it for us to keep it. So it's real hard for us to sit here and tell you this is what you do, this is what you don't do, and you always do these things because every house, every neighborhood, every market is different, and every budget and every remodel is different. But you've just got to be cognizant of what you're spending, what the comps in the neighborhood are selling for, and what they have and how nice they are. You don't have to be the nicest house in the neighborhood. You don't have to be perfect. And remember, if you're saving money and you're able to charge other people less money, that's not always a bad thing. That can help out other people as well. All right. That's what I've got for this video. If you have comments, questions, please leave them below. I'll try to get to them, try to answer them, especially specific to certain repairs, items, things you want to do, ideas on how to remodel, rehab, things like that. I have another video I will link to. If I don't, please remind me on how much it costs to do repairs right now. I've got a recent one on that. And I've got a lot of other videos too on my real estate advice playlist that goes through different videos like this. Of course, we're always posting videos on our flips, rentals, commercial properties. I've also got a liquor store, laundromats, real estate office, things like that too. We're always giving updates on as well. We are also remodeling commercial properties, and that's a whole other beast and different idea and different concept too, which you have to be very careful and cognizant of as well, because it's really easy to go overboard spending on those as well. All right, thanks for watching. Love to hear what you think. We'll have more updates on this house once it's all the way done and our other projects here soon.